This is the Manga Xanadu Manga Dome podcast. I am your host, Laurie Henderson. Join me on this journey into the world of manga, where a river of reviews flow through caverns of commentary down into the latest news. Welcome to the Manga Dome. Episode 30, The Price of Digital Manga with Alex Hoffman. Instead of news stories or a review this week, I have a guest. Fellow reviewer Alex Hoffman is joining me to talk about some developments in digital manga. Alex has written reviews for Manga Village and currently has his own blog, Manga Widget, where he gives his own perspective. But first, let's get some regular features out of the way. The weekly wish list. This week, Yen Press is looking to lighten my wallet. I read the first half of the preview of Another in Yen Plus, and it looked interesting. With mystery and the supernatural, you can almost guarantee it'll be on my list. I'm curious about, no matter how I look at it, it's your guys' fault I'm not popular, due to all of the talk it's gotten thanks to the anime. Volume 1 is out this week. Inuboku is another series with an anime, but I was mildly interested in it when it was announced, so I'll give the first volume a shot. I wasn't too impressed with Puella Magi Oriko Magica, but with the second volume also being the end of the series, I'll check it out to see if it redeems itself. There's no top 10 again this week at Vizmanga.com, but there were 2 new debut titles. Boys Over Flowers is another shoujo title from before Shoujo Beat. It's 37 volumes long and became so popular that it got not just an anime, but also live-action dramas in Japan, Taiwan, and Korea, and 2 films. It follows Tsukushi Makino, a girl from a middle-class family who goes to Eotoku Academy, an elite school for rich families. Among the student body are 4 boys, known as the F4 or Flower 4. Cross them and you get bullied out of school. Tsukushi does just that, standing up for a friend when she accidentally bumps into one of them. She gets the infamous red tag, marking her for bullying. But Tsukushi isn't going to go down without a fight. This looks like an interesting series. I like Tsukushi, and she looks like she can hold her own against these shallow boys. Volumes 1 and 2 are now available. Yu-Gi-Oh! Millennium World is the final arc of the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Saga. It takes place immediately after the end of Duelist and explores the origins of the duel monsters and the past of the other Yugi, who is revealed to be a pharaoh from ancient Egypt. I like this arc almost as much as the first arc. The characters are all seen again except for Yugi's friends, who are there in spirit form. They are watching the events from the past as they unfold through the power of the Millennium Items and learn how the Millennium Items were created, where some of the cards came from, and why Bakura had a grudge against Yugi and the pharaoh. If you're interested in the Yu-Gi-Oh! World, check the series out. You don't have to read Duelist to enjoy this, but having read the first arc will help. It's 7 volumes long. The Titans get knocked off their pedestal but keep control of the New York Times bestseller list for the week of October 19th, 2013. There are monsters at the top this week, as number 1 goes to Monster Musume, Volume 1. Bleach, Volume 58, jumps up 6 from number 8 last week to number 2 this week. Last week's number 1, Attack on Titan Volume 1, falls 2 to number 3, and is followed by Attack on Titan Volume 7, staying even at number 4. Attack on Titan Volume 2 falls 3 to round out the top 5 at number 5, while Volume 3 falls 1 to come in at number 6. Rosario Vampire's second season, Volume 12, debuts at number 7, while the Titans return with Attack on Titan Volume 3 at number 8. Blackbird Volume 17 falls another 2 to number 9, and the list ends with Attack on Titan Volume 5 falling 1 to number 10. Attack on Titan still takes up 6 spots on the list, but some of the volumes have switched around. Volume 6 has fallen off to be replaced by Volume 4. Viz's Bleach gets a huge surge as it jumps back up into the top 5. The biggest surprise is the new number 1. Monster Musume from 7 Seas didn't look like a title I would want to read, but there's obviously an audience for it. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And now on to our conversation. Alex and I talk about the Vizmanga Platform and its price increase, the new Crunchyroll Manga site, and how J-Manga may have influenced Crunchyroll's final form.
We're seeing all this development in digital manga, and it's fascinating. I'm really excited about it, but one of the things that I have a huge question about is the value of certain platforms. Like, one of the things that we're seeing right now with Viz is that they're across the board adding their titles to all these different platforms, which is great for people that are not interested in using a particular platform. Like, they've released to Kindle, and now they've released to
iPhone, or iBooks.
iBooks. And so that's super great. I mean, for the people that didn't want to use Vizmanga.com or don't have a Kindle e-reader or, whatever. And I think they even have some of the work on the Nook, maybe not. I'm not sure.
They've pretty much hit all of the major platforms. Well, you can get the Vizmanga app on iOS and Android. You can get it on Kindle and Nook. You can buy the books separately. So you can just buy the books and you don't need an app. Well, you need like the Kindle or the Nook app to read them.
Yeah.
And they just did Kobo, which is another e-platform. And now they're straight to iBooks without needing the Vizmanga app. So they're going the digital manga publishing, where they're just, any platform they can get their books on, they're putting them on, instead of trying to keep it just on their app.
Yeah, and that's like a big switch from the past.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we just saw that with Kodansha as well, where they released every single one of their digital titles to Kindle,
mm-hmm.
and they're not looking to even use their app anymore. They're not even updating it anymore.
Right. If you bought stuff on it, it'll work for you for that, but it's not going to work for anything else.
Yeah, which has its good things and its bad things. One of the things that I kind of like about this whole switch is the fact that now with the books on multiple platforms, now there's more stability in that market. Whereas before, if Viz, for whatever reason, closed up shop, shut down the website, all the content that I have on Vizmanga.com disappears.
Mm-hmm.
You can't read it anymore. If you were smart enough to download and keep it on your iOS device or Android device, then it's there for good, quotes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the Vizmanga platform, I'm finding more and more to be less and less valuable as these other systems are being released over time.
Yeah, it didn't pay to be an early adopter on this.
I know, and it's so frustrating because Viz has been really great about releasing these older series. Almost every single one of their books in print is now on the digital front in some form or another.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even learn about the price increase, which is one of the things I think I'm most frustrated with the Vizmanga.com experience, is that now all of the Shonen Jump, Shoujo Beat titles are all $7, whereas before they were $5.
Yeah.
And I think that crossed my threshold for impulse purchase. Or, I can justify maybe someday losing this for good because it was only $5.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is about $2. But that, that whole change, it was like, it seemed kind of shady to me because it was like, I didn't really ever see an announcement. Maybe there was one, but it was more of like a...
The announcement appeared on the Vizmanga.com website as one of the banners, and it only appeared... No, it didn't. It wasn't a banner. It was a message that popped up when you went to the website, and it only appeared once when you went there. If you went back, it didn't come up again.
And there was no real mention of that on any of their social platforms, and they're pretty active on social media, so we didn't see anything on Twitter at all.
I think they knew that they were going to get a backlash, so they tried to keep it on the down low as much as possible.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the crazy thing is you saying that, oh, well, we're going to increase the price on this content in order to spread it out between all these different...
Yeah, that's what they came back and said, is that the reason that they had to raise the pricing is because they've been expanding and putting their books out on all these different platforms.
Which sounds like PR whitewashing to me. It sounds like, how can we spin this the best way? Maybe. There's a cost to converting those files. Once you have that raw data and can upload it to whatever program, it's not that much more expensive. Now, obviously, Kindle and iBooks and everybody gets their own cut, and what that percentage is I'm sure secret contractual information.
Well, with iBooks, isn't it like basically a flat 30%?
That's what I understand. And I think that's with most of I think that's every iProduct. They were getting 30% of in-app sales,
mm-hmm.
and they were getting 30% of all app sales. And
right.
So they're just taking a clean 30%. And I'm sure that it makes more business sense for them to move on to other platforms that maybe don't have such a high price sharing. I don't know, whatever their cut is. Maybe Kindle's cut's only like 25% or 20%.
Mm-hmm. Now
we're getting to a point where they created this online portal, this Vizmanga.com, and it's completely worthless.
Yeah.
And I I hate to say it like that, but yeah, it has no value anymore.
Yeah, I mean, for the longest time, I was upset because you couldn't get the Vizmanga app on Android. And that's what I had. I had an Android tablet. I wanted to be able to download this manga I bought and be able to read it at work where I don't have internet access. So when I finally was able to get it, it was like, oh, this is cool. I can finally read my manga at work. But now that they've got it that I can get it anywhere, what's the point of having the app anymore? Other than the fact that I've already bought half of Bakuman on the site. I have the entire Children of the Sea series through the site.
I never collected Bakuman as a paper thing. I have 19 volumes of it. I am missing the last volume. And the price changed right as I was reading number 19, and I said, you know what? I'm not really interested in volume 20. Not.
You know what?
So
I read volume 20 in the Shonen Jump magazine.
Shonen Jump, the Alpha, or now it's just Shonen Jump Weekly now.
Yeah.
Is the only reason to be on Vizmanga.com, because it's way easier, I think for me anyway, it's way easier to read it on the website than it is to read it on my iPad. But, if I'm going on a trip or whatever, I'll download like 4 or 5 issues and read those on the trip.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, the only reason why I get on that platform at all is to read Shonen Jump. And I'm only reading World Trigger, and I'm not to the point yet where cross-manage goes away, which is sad because I like it a lot.
Yeah, I really like cross-manage too. I was really upset when they said it was going to be canceled. It's like, no, it's a sports manga I like. Don't get rid of it.
I mean, it had good legs for a sports title. It did really well. Like the collected editions sold really well.
Yeah, they were hitting the top 10, which is
But
good.
I think it just is really, these experimental runs with these new series like One Punch Man and World Trigger and Cross Manage, and what was the first one?
Barrage?
Barrage, yes. These are really experimental titles almost, in the fact that they're not the kind of thing that would ever really see print, especially since they're so, like in the United States, since they're so new and fresh. This isn't trying to pick up anything other than a surefire hit these days.
Yeah, well, everyone is anymore.
Right, exactly, which is why you saw all those publishers jump on the Attack on Titan spin-offs.
Oh, yeah. At New York Comic Con, everyone had to have an Attack on Titan something.
I know, and it was just craziness to me, because it's like the light novels from Vertical, and then 3 spin-off series from Kodansha itself, and it's just like, everybody's just looking for that surefire hit, and so in that sense, it's a program that gets these younger authors out into an international market, which is really cool. I was super excited when Barrage was first released, because it was like, new manga, only on this platform, but then it was terrible. So, but that's, the value of that platform has just gone down and down, and I think there's there's a big problem for Viz with that, because that's where they have their most direct control over what their reader sees, and they can make suggestions that are maybe more finely tuned to a reader than, say, the Amazon algorithm.
Yeah.
Because they know the content better.
Yeah, the problem Viz is having, I think, with their weekly Shonen Jump is that all the fans want the established series that aren't here yet. Beelzebub, or I listened to another podcast that just talks about the weekly Shonen Jump, and they always go on about these other series and how much they want to see them. But there's so many volumes ahead that there's no way Viz is going to touch them. Right,
like Beelzebub's a good one. What's the one with the basketball that's always in these controversial?
Oh, Kuro.
Yeah, Kuroku or something.
Kurokoku, something like that.
Yeah, no basketball or no basket is what it is, and I see that in the news all the time, because there's some crazy person out there making death threats and sending toxic chemicals to people in letters. Series, but like everybody's gaga about it, and more so probably the female audience, which might be part of the issue. And the fact that they gave up
Gintama,
thank you so much. Yeah, that's almost like the nail in the coffin on bringing these huge series to Shonen Jump.
Yeah, these series that are really popular in Japan and really popular with the scan readers, who obviously doesn't translate into sales.
which is sad, but I think we're almost to a point now where even me, I've come to accept some level of scans in my daily life because I just can't. I'm not reading them, but it's, you just can't run into anybody on the internet who's a manga or anime fan who's not doing it.
Yeah. Well,
so it's its own can of worms.
It's kind of a vicious cycle because the fans want to read these series, but because no one's buying them, no one's bringing it over, so the only way to read them is to read scans. And you read scans, no one buys the series when it comes over.
Right. It is a nasty cycle. And I was talking to one of the folks from Crimson Rose. She's pretty vocal on Twitter about why you should do scans and why you shouldn't. And these new series, these Attack on Titan series, are a great example of series where people are apparently for-profit scanners. I didn't even know this was a thing. For-profit scan groups are scanning the series after it was announced as a title from Kodansha USA.
Yeah,
Isn't that amazing?
I didn't know that there were for-profit scanulators out there.
Yeah, and she basically told me, oh yeah, this is the other side of, you think aggregators are bad? What about for-profit scan groups? And I just was blown away.
How does that even work?
Yeah, I don't know. I wish I could tell you. I think it's probably got something to do with ad revenue.
Oh.
Like, anything else.
Yeah. Because I can't imagine people paying someone to be able to read manga that they could probably, with a little searching, find anyway.
Yeah, that's the question, But some of these scan groups are actually their own mini aggregators. They've come up with pretty diverse technology to show the comics with ads right on their own site, so people don't have to go to the Manga Foxes of the world.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other really neat things that's going on right now, stepping away kind of from Viz and the whole scanlation issue, is, and maybe kind of into a different realm of scanlation, is the Crunchyroll Manga rollout, which Crunchyroll way back in the day was an illegal aggregator site.
Yeah, I remember searching for something and having them pop up in my search and looking at it going, what is this?
Yeah.
Why do they have these fan translated shows? Why, I didn't watch them because I wasn't going to support someone who the groups kept saying, we didn't approve that. We don't want our stuff on there. Don't watch it. And
now it's like the portal for
yeah.
everything Japanese. And so they've got all these drama shows and they've got the animated content, and now they have 12 titles from Kodansha, day and date publishing,
mm-hmm.
which is really, really fascinating because it's almost like its own thing. So Crunchyroll already had the $11.99 all access pass, which gave you early access to shows, and what else does it give you? Like a discount in their store, and it gives you access to all of the drama content. And now the $12 a month gives you access to the manga content, which is available separately for $5 apparently. And this is a model that really hasn't ever been done successfully, and it's this all-you-can-eat content.
I don't think all-you-can-eat has really been done yet.
And that's,
not even J-Manga wasn't even all-you-can-eat. It was you were buying series.
And yeah, you're exactly right. So now, it's like, this is all you can eat. It's day and date with the publisher in Japan. You cannot get a scan faster than you can get that. Well, actually you can, but that's a different thing.
Yeah, it's a whole different story.
But the day it's released because sometimes scans are showing up before it's actually released to the public because of people in print rooms and all of that. But, they're releasing it on the same day that the Japanese fans are releasing it here. And some of these series are really major series, like Mysterious Girlfriend X, which had an anime, was it last season or 2 seasons ago?
I think it was 2 seasons ago, maybe 3. It was a while ago.
Which all the anime fans really adored that show, and I remember a couple people really voraciously asking for the comic.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what else. There's a couple that are Kodansha mainstays.
Yeah, you got Fairy Tail.
Fairy Tail and Attack on Titan are the 2 big titles from Kodansha that I thought that was really surprising, actually, since Kodansha's releasing these as a buy to own on Kindle.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also this all-you-can-eat site with every volume of these series.
I think the reason Kodansha is doing those 2 is because they have really strong scanlation audience.
Got a point. Yeah.
better to pull them to a legitimate site and away from the scans. They probably get some sort of revenue from Crunchyroll. So,
Oh yeah.
It's better to go that way.
And I'm sure that Kodansha USA is a subsidiary of Kodansha in the sense that at the end it's all one bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
It might be a little more separated than that, but I doubt that as long as Kodansha Japan gets their cut, I think that's what really matters in the end.
Yeah, and Kodansha USA, they seem to have a different audience in mind. I mean, when you look at some of the licenses that we saw at New York Comic Con where you had other companies getting Kodansha titles, Yen Press got like 3 or 4 different Kodanshas. And
yeah, that's a good point. Like they're hyper focused on maybe the more dedicated fan. Does that seem reasonable to you? They're really into the Attack on Titan, Fairy Tail, Sailor Moon, these series that are big buzzword series for mega fans.
Yeah, and the ones that went to Yen Press weren't big buzzwords. I mean, a lot of them were shoujo.
Yeah, that's exactly what I keep on thinking is they're letting other companies work with their available titles because it's something they would never publish.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
So with that in mind, it's kind of weird to me that Crunchyroll has UQ Holder and the 7 Deadly Sins, which are 2 license announcements from New York Comic Con.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have, Space Brothers and Mysterious Girlfriend X, which are 2 really popular sign-in titles.
Mm-hmm.
And then Copelion, which is kind of like it's the mystery card here because it has an anime out or is coming out soon.
I think it just started.
Okay, so
it just started this season. So there's like maybe 2 or 3 episodes out.
Okay. And then there's just like these other series that are kind of thrown in here. And I actually read one of them in its entirety just to see what the service was like. I signed up for the 14-day free pass. Congratulations, Crunchyroll. You've tentatively got my money. And let me tell you what, As the Gods Will is the weirdest piece of comics I think I've read in quite some time. And I read really weird comics. This thing is really Japanese centric. There's all this really intricate Japanese culture surrounding these kids all getting brutally murdered for this game. It's like if you took Death Note and all the characters, all the dead people were students at schools and cranked the violence up to 11 and then threw in like Bozo the Clown. That is what this is. It's like absurdist horror, I think is the best way to put it. It's like absurdist horror based on that victory, friendship, trials mentality from shonen manga. It's so crazy. I don't know why they picked this out of all of the comics they could pick, but it is. I'll keep on reading it until it ends. It's fascinatingly bizarre.
That's probably why they picked it.
I mean,
because they know that there are readers out there who will pick up the weirdest stuff that they can find.
I highly recommend getting the 14-day pass, reading the thing. Just so it is awe-inspiring how weird it is. And I'm looking forward to reading some of the other ones. Like, I kind of fell off with Negima at the end of its run. Ken Akamatsu really shut down shop really quickly on this title. Mm-hmm. And kind of left the whole thing in a lurch after the mega battle to end all mega battles, and kind of really wrapped things up in a very hasty way, and is now writing this UQ Holder. And I really hope that I can get back into the world because it's set in the same world as the Negima books. And
yeah, but it's set in the future though, isn't it?
Right. I haven't really looked at it too much, but I think Evangeline, who looks like a little girl in the Negima series, is an adult now, which is weird because she's a vampire and she shouldn't technically age. I didn't read the first chapter yet. The second chapter is what's available for free, and I haven't looked at it since I signed up for the trial. But it's like, I like the universe that it's set in because that universe it was really the first manga series that ever caught me because it was really cool, like wizards and magic. Like right after I was looking for my next Harry Potter high. Mm-hmm. Harry Potter number 4 comes out, and then there's this big old blank wall of fuzz for like 3 years, wasn't it? Like there was
Something like that, 3 or 4, yeah.
huge gap of time, and so I randomly grabbed this book. It was recommended at my local Walden's Books. This is how long ago. They were recommending this if you liked Harry Potter, and so I grabbed the first volume and I was fascinated by it. It's problematic comics, I'm not gonna lie, because it's problematic, but it was also, the world was so cool. I read it more for the world building and the relationships and not the skeezy fan service, which now I dread in Ken Akamatsu's work because it's so awful. I've grown up a little bit since Walden Books. But there's all these, and there's some shoujo series on here too, so I think it's a good mix. And I'm interested to see how it goes from here. There's obviously some hiccups. It's not as bad as healthcare.gov as far as website glitches, but the reader definitely needs work. But overall, the reading experience is probably easier and better than the one at J-Manga ever was, which is saying something right out the gate.
Yeah, I checked out the latest chapter of Kapapelian.
Yeah.
Just as something that I, just to check out, the reader, the experience. And it was a title that was about to start on J-Manga that I thought looked interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was interesting because being the latest chapter, you're jumping right into the storyline, have no idea who anyone is, what's going on. But I found the art style and the story didn't mesh real well for me.
It definitely looks like
it almost looks like a shoujo with the art, but the story is very shonen. Action, shooting, killing people, but you've got these girls with these big eyes looking very cute as they're doing it.
And it's like this girl, I don't know if she's a redhead or pink or whatever, but she's got this big fluffy hair. It seems like they've spent ages working on how each curl is gonna move, and it's very shoujo-esque. But I remember, didn't J-Manga do
yeah, they did it as part of their translation contest.
That's the other thing that's really weird. Every other publisher says, we're not going to touch any of these series that J-Manga was working on with a 10-foot pole.
Mm-hmm.
Now, even Working Kintaro's, which I think has a bit of a BL, sub-genre group of people that really want to see that published. No one wants to touch any of these series because it's probably such a mess to get the rights to them now. But Crunchyroll's like, whatever. We'll just take it.
It was a Kodansha title. Kodansha gave J-Manga some of their titles just before the end.
Yeah.
So, since it didn't really get off the ground, it was just used as a test for translation. I think that's why they don't mind touching it. Because it got the hype, but it never got out. That's true, yeah. So it's premiere, actually.
It's true. And it's a 205 chapter premiere. There is a lot of content. There's 8
volumes, yeah.
8 volumes. Which, one of the neat things here is, this is, I think, the selling point. This is how Crunchyroll makes money, is that it's so easy to sign up for a free trial, and it's so easy to just forget about it. So, I know it's gonna be like my Amazon Prime account. It's gonna roll over 1 month, and then I'm gonna just keep it forever. It's like a stray cat.
Yeah, once you feed it, you're done.
Yeah. You get to keep it. So, and the fact that it's so easily accessible from the same site that everybody's doing all of their anime watching. You just, I'm waiting for a new episode of Beyond the Boundary to come out. I'm gonna read a couple chapters of this. And that's a weird thing for me, because generally I stay away from the comics, or I'm not sorry, not the comics, but the anime, because I just don't really like TV that much. But now that I'm on the Crunchyroll site all the time to read these comics, I'm just randomly clicking on series to watch an episode. And so now I'm hooked on a couple of these different shows. It's the best cross-marketing ever. This is what a good community looks like. Viz, take note. Crunchyroll is doing it right. If you really want Vizmanga to be a hub where people actually consume your content, then this, you need to mesh Neon Alley or whatever it is with Vizmanga.com. They need to be at the same place. Because I would never watch these shows. I would never have turned them on before this comics thing came out. And now I'm on their site, for a couple hours reading comics, watching shows. It's crazy.
I think J-Manga may have been a kind of a trial run for this, because some of their titles had anime, and they had links that some of the anime was on Crunchyroll, and they had links straight over to the anime on Crunchyroll from the manga site. I remember the Puyo Puyo Observation Diary.
Oh yeah,
it had an anime at the time, and I bought the volume and had to watch the anime, and I clicked on it. My daughter came over and we sat and watched the 3-minute episodes, as many as we could, for free. It's just like you finished one, it just went right on to the next one.
It's really smart. And Recorder and Ranzel's another one where I think that there was a J-Manga link. Because they did the first couple volumes of that series, and there's this, for some reason, this show has gotten more than one season of
an anime, yeah.
So that's, you can just click on over, and it just, now having it all on the same website, it's just really fascinating. I think this is what manga is going to look like in 30 years. Mm-hmm. Well, no, it's not. It's going to look like something different, but this is the transition stage where all the Japanese content is located easily at one site. This is our transition step. I'm sure of it. Yeah,
this is what everyone's been wanting. They want it all in one place, where they can just get to it, pay one price, and get everything that they want.
Right.
Because, people are going to pay the $5 for the manga, but they might not necessarily read all the manga, but they're $5 for a whole series that you can just read
whenever you want. And it's 12 series. It's not, that's like $5. That's not even one volume of manga on Kindle. It's not even one. I've already read, just reading As the Gods Will, I've already read 4 volumes plus a couple extra chapters for $5. For actually nothing, but it's going to be $12. But it's just it's a really neat thing. Mm-hmm. I think that's where Crunchyroll is creating value where Viz just can't right now.
Yeah, I think as this rolls out more, we're probably going to see a lot more of the crossover between the anime and the manga. You're going to see a lot of the series that are on Crunchyroll right now as an anime coming out.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think that, things are going to get consolidated because translators are obviously the biggest factor, and I'm not sure how Crunchyroll is, sourcing that translation if it's in that kind of, in the way that digital manga is doing their digital program.
Their digital manga guild?
Yeah, the DMG. Mm-hmm. Or if it's translation from a more old school fashion. I'm not sure how that actually works. I don't think there's been a lot of details about how the content actually gets out, but at the end of the day, I don't actually know that it matters that much. It's just that Crunchyroll has a history of being scan later based, scan dubber based, sub dub, all that lovely business. So that's the only reason why I think people have been bringing it up, but either way, I don't.
Yeah, but I don't think that really matters anymore. I think they really proved that they're a legitimate site.
Yeah, I agree. Even if they were using that group of fan translators and paying them an honest wage, does it really matter? Mm-hmm. At the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm sure Kodansha would not be teaming up with them if they had any kind of shady things going on.
Oh, of course.
Yes, it'll be interesting if we see some other publishers get on with this. I would like to see some Square Enix in digital format other than that horrible site they have.
That website is a cesspool. it's the actual, you can't even sign up for an account to buy the comics.
And it's sad that Yen Press still has links to say, buy the digital manga back to the Square Enix site that was closed down 6 months ago.
Yeah. I'm actually glad that site closed because it was I tried my hardest to get an account. I didn't even make it to the part where you put in your credit card because it was impossible. I just remember reading reports from Deb Aoki from, at the time, like About.com.
Melinda.
Melinda tried. I think Widget even tried.
Yeah.
From
Manga Blog.
Manga Blog. And no one, I don't think a single one of us was able to make an account.
I was actually able to get an account.
You are the chosen one.
I got on when they were doing their get one free volume.
I remember that.
Log onto the site and you can get one free volume. I was able to do it with that, and that is the only volume I have. It's the one free one that I got from them.
There were people, a couple of different people who were saying, "Oh, well, I wanted to buy comics, but then it wouldn't take my credit card."
Yeah, I think that was Deb's problem, is that she could get on, but she couldn't buy anything.
That's so frustrating. This is definitely going to be something where it has room to grow, and it can grow because the anime is going to be supporting these releases. So yeah. I think it's a good start, and I think it'll just continue to be a great place to read comics.
Yeah, and it's a good way to get audience for some of the not so well-known books, because you get on there, you read it for the ones that are related to whatever anime you're watching, and then you say, oh, well, that looks interesting. You don't have to pay anything.
Right.
Doesn't hurt anything to read it.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, the Crunchyroll, it's a good idea. I'm gonna wait till there's a little more content before I jump on there, but I'm gonna keep an eye on it for sure.
And there's nothing wrong with hopping on for the free content. From what I understand, that there's still some technology issues with the free side, like you don't have like the Zoom feature.
I didn't really have a problem when I was reading like I said, I read from the free content, the latest chapter. I didn't need to Zoom.
I'm sure that the series where you're going to have the most problems is probably UQ Holder, because they are always trying to cram a lot of text into these tiny little text boxes. It's almost impossible to read without zooming in. From what I understand is that they're going to be adding that zoom feature to the free side, which I thought was weird that they didn't have that on the free side to begin with.
Yeah, it's weird that you would have a different reader for each side. You would think that would be the same reader whether you paid for it or not.
Yeah, it seems odd to have two different pieces of software. It's probably the same piece of software, they're just stripping out.
Yeah, some things are just turned off for the free side.
Yeah. So, I think that once that gets implemented, I think the free content will be much easier to view and to consume, which will be good.
Mm-hmm.
If you're paying $5 right now, you've got a lot of value here, because Coppelion alone is like 8 volumes, As God's Will is 4 volumes, Mysterious Girlfriend X I think is like 7 or 8 volumes. There's 1 million chapters of Fairy Tail.
Yeah, that's up in the 30s or something.
Yeah, it's like there are 357 chapters. So you have quite a ways to go with that one. So I don't think you're going to have any trouble finding your value in the service if you decide to be an early adopter. But I agree with you. Like, if I wasn't so interested to try this all-you-could-eat format, I definitely probably would wait until they've added another round of series before I jumped in.
Yeah, especially after being on J-Manga.
And getting
burned. Yeah.
Yeah, J-Manga was such a disappointment. I loved the series that they picked. It was very curatorial, the type of content that they had.
Yeah.
And I think it was curated to nerds like me. And I pay money, but, there were probably only, out of the whole internet that knew about J-Manga, there were probably only about 200 people actually paying for content. Which I think is crazy, but those are the numbers that I keep on hearing from people. It's around 200 volumes of something
would get sold.
Yeah. Even the most popular titles, like the stuff that Erica Friedman was working on, like all the Yuri titles would only sell about 200 copies. And it just didn't pay the rent.
Yeah, but if you read Erica's tweets and stuff, you notice that she says that about Yuri readers in general. They just don't want to buy. They want it for free.
Yeah, that's true. Is the J-Manga site even up still? I'm going to take a look.
I think it's still up, but just as like a resource where you can just see what series they had.
Oh, yeah. The content's all gone. And this is what I'm kind of afraid of with Viz's buy-to-own content, is if their website disappears, then you don't have access anymore. The same way with J-Manga. J-Manga made it easier to spend money by forgetting about a subscription, by giving you those points and having the subscription and all of that business. But I think I had the $10 subscription for at least a year. And I bought tons of content with all those points. And
Yeah, I had a couple of complete series, a couple that were just so close to finishing.
Yeah. There are a couple of Yuri series that were really a lot of fun that I read. That one was, I'm trying to remember the name of this. Ed Sizemore really, really liked this, and I'm trying to remember the name. But it was complete in like 4.5 volumes, and they did 4 volumes of it, and then, yeah, there's like 2 more chapters.
That's all we need.
Come on. So, and I think he actually asked Erica what the
ending was.
What the ending was, because he wanted to know so bad, and I was just like right there with him. It's like, oh, so that's what happened. That's super cool. I'm happy with that. J-Mong is actually no longer there.
Oh, really? They're gone.
It's gone.
Okay. Last time I checked, the site was there and you could see the series, but that's all you could do is just use it as a resource. I guess I need to change my links.
A little sad. One of the problems I think with J-Manga ultimately faced was that it was like a hybrid model that didn't really pick any of the best things from either side, whether it was all you can eat buffet style versus buy to own.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you couldn't ever get the comics in any other way except for the website. You had to buy each volume.
Yeah.
The prices were good per volume. It ended up not mattering because they didn't have a model that I thought was very sustainable.
Yeah.
So they didn't have these amazing titles. They didn't have your Attack on Titan, Sailor Moon. They didn't have Naruto.
They had a bunch of niche stuff.
Right. Guy has a mysterious magical cat that he goes around and paints pictures of cats. And guy that's really obsessed with bento boxes on trains. These are the series that J-Manga had, which were fantastic series. I loved them so much, but how many...
I liked the Cat Painter series.
I liked that series too. I had every single volume.
Yep.
I read them all, and I was just like, I would pay for that in print.
I wanted that series ever since Deb came back from Japan and was talking about it.
I remember those pictures from Isla. It was like 08 or 09. She's like, look at this cool thing that I dredged up in a used bookstore.
Yeah, I even did a post on it going, I want these. And then J-Manga came out and did it. It's like,
yeah.
Hey, I got it. And now it's gone.
Yeah. One of the things that I think actually happened, there were some people that actually scrubbed some of the content off of J-Manga. Like, just went through and did screenshots of all the...
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure...
I saw a tweet go by, someone saying they were going to do that. Going, well, I can't read it all. Time to do some screenshots.
Yeah, which, I mean, it's that same old piracy question that I think a lot of my conversations always head back towards, because I think it's such an important aspect of the community. Whatever your stance is on it, you know, whether you agree with it or disagree with it or love it or hate it or somewhere in the murky middle, I think it's such an important thing that we have to keep on talking about in this community.
Yeah, it comes down to how much work do you want to do?
Right, exactly.
Because that's a lot of work to screenshot every page and then edit the screenshot so you can take out all of your desktop stuff. And that's a lot of work to get a volume.
Yeah, it's true. I think
it's cheaper to buy it in print.
Yeah, for all the work you put in, you know.
Yeah.
Your 5 hours of work, you could have just bought it. But I think scanlation in general has always been a labor of love for the people that are actually scanning and translating and editing and cleaning those pages from whether it's the tankobon release in Japan or the actual newspaper
pages,
print. Yeah, so.
Well, that's how it started.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to keep on going. I don't think Crunchyroll is going to change that too much. There is a new avenue for people that were already paying for the content now to experience manga in a way that is pay to play, which I think is important. I think a
big thing that Crunchyroll is going to do is it's going to make it visible. People who didn't know that they could get this stuff legally are going to be able to see it, you know, because they're going to go to Crunchyroll for their anime, then they're going to look and see, oh, I can just get my manga here. I don't have to go to all these different scanlation sites to find it.
And I think that you have to offer a value proposition to your person who loves free.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that's part of the value right there, is that it's very convenient. iTunes figured out the way to sell music to people. We have to do the same thing with digital comics. Mm-hmm. Right now, I don't think we're doing a very good job giving digital media its value. I think there were some people that would even argue that digital media, because it is infinitely available, has no value.
Yeah.
So I I think Crunchyroll is doing a good job of, as an initial offering, giving that value back by making it convenient.
Thank you for listening to the Manga Xanadu Manga Dome podcast. You can find links to the stories and books discussed here in the show notes at manga.jdragononline.com. You can email me with any questions at xanadu@jdragononline.com or leave a comment on this post. Rate me on YouTube and follow me on Twitter at Manga Xanadu, all one word. Until next time, farewell from the Manga Dome.